Gentlemen, it's the Hard Deconstruction. You can find us wherever you Google Hard Deconstruction with yours komp and
Lamb.
as well as
Jello Cat.
from horrorharbor.tumblr.com. Today's film is
Suspiria 2018, the remake.
it's Thea's choice for Women's Month. I'm just making that up. Suspiria 2018. A darkness swirls at the center of a world-renowned dance company. One that will engulf the artistic director. Oh God, who wrote all this shit? Director, an ambitious young dancer, and a grieving psychotherapist. Some will succumb to the nightmare. Others will finally wake up. Directed by Luca Guadagnino. Based on the old film by Dario Argento and the characters by Daria Nicolidi. Who is it written by? It's written by David Kalyanik. So I don't know who that guy is.
These are great names.
Sure.
Starring Chloe Grace. Why did they put Chloe Grace Moretz first? Tilda, I guess because she's there first. Tilda Swinton, Doris Hick, and who's the main girl? The supposedly main girl.
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Schlongson.
That's right.
From the 20
Do you know
Shades
that
of
Tilda
Grey.
Swinton plays like 3 people in this?
You're kidding me. So Thea, why did
Only
you pick
20 Shades of Grey.
Thea, why did you pick Suspiria?
Because I wanted to watch it.
Thea was
That's
really
the-
saying, did I pick it? Yes.
I was like, did I pick it? Because I have been watching. I mean, you heard the news that it was being remade, and I was kind of excited.
Okay.
Because the original, while I love it, the story is nonsense, kind of. It's a very loose thread that they try and pull. So I was hoping that maybe they would do a bit more plot elements in this one, and they did.
I was actually fairly excited for it. When I first heard that it was being remade, I was I mean, there's been talk about this remake for the longest time.
There's been some good remakes though lately. We've been on a good run.
I think Nicholas Refn was actually attached to this at one time, the remake for Suspiria.
I think so.
And that's why he made that movie, Neon Demon. Remember that great movie, Neon Demon? Oh boy, what a movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad he didn't do it.
Anyway, so if anybody's familiar with Dario Argento's version, that movie is... I like Dario Argento films. Mm-hmm. I like the aesthetics of them. I don't necessarily understand the films, but I do like art house sort of weirdo films. And I don't think Danny is that... Like I always say, Danny's not really a huge fan of Argento.
You always say I don't like it, but I do like...
No, I just say that you get super confused by it because you think all his characters are like mentally ill, which is probably true.
They kind of act like it.
I think we saw one.
They're emotionally dead or something.
There was one. I don't know which Argento film it was. I don't think it was Tenebrae or it was Red something. No, it wasn't the red one. I think it was Tenebrae. The one where the girl, there's like a guy who has nails like taped to his eyeballs.
Yeah, that's Tenebrae, I think.
At the end of that film, this woman is being attacked by this killer, and her boyfriend gets murdered, and then like
she has like no emotional reaction.
She starts like the cops say, "Oh, we killed the bad guy," and then she starts laughing in a field, and that's how the movie ended. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" So I was always like, it was more of an interesting idea about this film with Suspiria, especially with the trailer and the way that the posters looked and everything. It looked like somebody took time to make a remake, because usually I think the three of us are usually against remakes.
Yeah,
not necessarily against it, but we're not necessarily excited for remakes.
Kind of set a new precedent, maybe.
Right. Well, because the interesting about taking a hold of an Argento film is like you can't really do what Argento does in his own sort of films. Right. Well, even he can't do it anymore, because like if you saw Dracula, whatever that last one, remember the Dracula?
I think I saw Mother of Tears, and it was quite not good.
And Mother of Tears is actually the third in the Mother series, and that's directly referenced in this film.
What about Tears for Fears?
Everybody wants to rule the world, right then? Yeah. So there was... the Mother of Tears trilogy was with Mother of Tears. I think was the third one. The first one was Suspiria, and I forgot what the second one is. It's one of those films.
It's Inferno.
Okay, yeah. So those deal all with witches.
That too,
maybe Inferno is the one that has the girl laughing in the field, but those are the three films that has to deal with Mother. I didn't see Mother of Tears yet because I heard I just assume all his movies are bad.
You know which one I liked a lot was that opera one with the raven that keeps cawing throughout the whole thing.
Wasn't it? I think it was called Opera actually too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one where the girl was laughing in the field. I'm not sure.
I think Opera is the one with the. You were talking about the needles under the eye. That is Opera.
That is Opera.
Okay, that's Opera then.
Yeah.
He just keeps stringing them up with these needles in their eye and trying to get this girl over and over.
They all kind of run together.
They
because
do.
He has a similar visual palette, except for Suspiria, I find.
Profundo Rossi. Go ahead.
Well, I feel like most of them are fairly traditional giallo. I feel like Suspiria was slightly different in terms of just like the color palette was completely different than anything else.
And I think giallo started with Mario Bava. I'm not sure.
And usually he has like metal, like 80s metal, but
Goblin.
He had Goblin in this. It was just like,
but I mean, they really work together as like pieces. Like they just they look like art installations. So the thing that I was thinking about, what I was interested about this film is like. It's almost like in 10 years, if somebody was going to take one of, like, what the hell is his name? The guy who did Twin Peaks. Oh, tell me, Danny, you know his name.
David Lynch.
If somebody took a David Lynch film and remade it as a more of a serious film, he does serious films, but you know that they're, like, off a little bit. Like, if somebody was to remake Fire Walk with Me,
movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't remake an Argento film the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they didn't try to make it the same way. They did
that's what I'm saying. They won't.
Thing.
Gosh, flam it. That's what I'm saying. So
what
anyway,
did that car outside want? I heard a honk.
So Suspiria, obviously, from just looking at the trailer itself, there was something about it that Luca Guadagnino, that he directed a film called recently that got really high praise for it. It has Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet, called Call Me by Your Name.
Is that really a person?
Oh.
It's I know.
I didn't realize it was the same director.
Right. Because they came so close together, these two films.
Right.
And Call Me by Your Name got really big press for it, and I think there was a lot of buzz for it, for getting some awards. I don't think it got any awards though, actually, because it was a film about a guy in his 30s that was sleeping with a 17-year-old boy. Yeah. And there was like an infamous scene where I think the boy jerks off into a peach, and then the guy eats it. Ooh. So it's like hardcore gay. Luca Guadagnino is gay himself, and I think it was sort of autobiographical for him. So I don't know whether he was the 17-year-old.
I've never jerked off on a peach, but I respect anyone who has.
Good for him. So anyway, after seeing this, I was like, damn, I want to see that movie, because like this guy's directing is so good. It's like a real director. And 2018 had a rare thing to it where there was 3 really good horror films that were made. And one of them is debatable.
One?
To me, it was the House that Jack Built. I really liked that movie a lot.
I still haven't seen it.
That was a film.
I haven't seen it.
That it's a problematic film. I hate using phrases like problematic and triggering.
But I get what you mean, because that trailer came out and I was like, oh, I don't know.
It's a hardcore film. It's a film. I went with my friend and I. We saw it. We saw the director's cut version. That actually the director got in trouble for it, because I guess you can't release your own director's cut version of a film. And it certainly is an experience to see in a theater. It's like a movie where you're like watching it and going, and then when you think it gets stuck in your brain. It's one of the best serial killer films I've seen, besides like American Psycho and oh god, what is that movie? Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
I got to really
it's from the
watch.
POV of the serial killer.
So obviously that and Hereditary. So 2018 was good with actual good drama horror films. You know what I mean? So it was really interesting to see the direction that they went with this one. And Thea, tell me your initial thoughts about how this film moved for you.
Thea.
I really liked that they, instead of going because what I feared when they first announced this was basically that they were going to do like either a shot for shot or like try and copy what he does like color palette and imagery wise in the original. Yeah. So what I liked about it was that they kept the era. They kept the 70s.
1977's Berlin.
But then they like strengthened that part of it, like making it actually feel like Berlin, like there's the politics are going on, there's a whole like.
And he followed the filming techniques of the 70s.
Exactly.
So the film feels
it looked like a 70s.
Not only does it feel like a period film, it looks and is edited. Because I know I was watching the film, the first 10 seconds or minute of the film, I was like, what's going on? Because there was some weird ass editing in the opening of the film. Where Chloe Grace Moretz is busting into the psychiatrist's office, and there was just weird shots that didn't match in editing.
But it's so like if you watch a 70s movie, and especially the Giallo movies, like, it is that.
It adds a nice creepy feel to it.
Because when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck is this? But it doesn't have that editing anymore after that sequence. And I thought maybe it's matching sort of the frantic weirdness of Chloe Grace's character walking in there. But I wasn't sure. I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then I was like, oh, this is great watching the rest of it. But it Guadagnino said that he loved Suspiria as a young man, and then that it was like... It was interesting also the lead actress from Suspiria is playing the psychiatrist's wife in this. I had no idea because I was watching a panel.
Oh, wait, really? Anke or whatever?
Yeah. I was watching a YouTube video of like a press conference for the film, and I was like, it's the actress from the original one. She was like, oh, I was in the movie. I was like, what? Who the fuck was she in the movie? And I was trying to figure out who she was in the movie, but then she was playing Anke, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But the thing about this film is that like Thea was saying, it's a very just well made film on its own merit. So Thea, give us a little bit of idea of what the storyline is.
So at the very beginning we see one of the dancers from the dance school charge into the psychiatrist's office. She's freaking out because she thinks she's part of some kind of whatever coven in the dance school.
And she turned out to be right, everyone.
She was right.
She directly says that they're witches at the beginning of the film.
She says
something
they're
that
witches.
I mean, I guess if you watch the original Suspiria, you sort of assume that
witches... in Suspiria, like, it's like a twist at the end, but with this, it's like right out in the open.
What were you thinking about Chloe Grace's acting in it? Sort of
it was what it was.
Chloe Grace, the thing I feel bad about...
That's the girl from Kick-Ass, right?
I feel a little bit bad for Chloe Grace, because Chloe Grace started out as a child actor, and she was that sort of annoying kid that's too smart for the room. But she was the best kid that's too smart for the room actor I had seen since I can't even remember. But she had growing pains and not really having a real career after. And there was that part where she was giving shit to Kim Kardashian online because of wearing scantily dressed in magazine covers. Meanwhile, she was doing the same shit in another magazine.
You know what would be cool? If she came back flipping in and then like Nicolas Cage popped out of a closet.
One of Nicolas Cage's best acting things I've ever seen, like without irony, when he's doing
he's on fire?
And he's doing Adam West's voice throughout that whole film. So Chloe Grace is doing this. She's all frantic. She's talking about she's talking about a guy's playing the drums or something, like playing an instrument. She's talking about all this weird shit. She's just babbling, and the psychiatrist played by Tilda Swinton. This was a thing that the company was trying to hide for the longest time.
I did not realize it was her.
How long did it take you to realize? Yeah,
I knew a long time ago because there were all these articles that would say Tilda Swinton, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh.
I don't think I would have realized if I hadn't paused the movie at one point and then done like a wiki search because I was like confused about something.
Yeah,
she's great as that character. That I'll say. Like even knowing that was Tilda Swinton, I was able to. The makeup.
She was really good.
The only thing that I would say that they should have done was added reverb to his voice.
Right.
So it sounded a little bit more masculine. I understand there's men with light voices, but his voice is still too close to Tilda Swinton's voice.
It's a little too airy. I think that's what gave it away. What gave it away was that, and the combination of that and I could tell it was somebody in old age makeup, so I knew it wasn't.
I actually thought it was like an old man, like legitimately.
No.
For a little bit, I did.
I mean, did you know ahead of time that it was Tilda?
Like it wasn't like in Twin Peaks, like that character that I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but
still funny though. But so Tilda also plays a third character in the film, and I was like, "Who's the third character she's playing?" Then I realized she was playing the evil mother witch.
At the end.
Yeah, that's like a character. Yeah. That's the only character for me that was like out of a Guillermo del Toro movie because I was like, "Who the hell?" Like that character like really stuck out. Like they just were like a cartoon like
very
character. So
very sexy.
The whole setup. It jumps now. It jumps over to I guess more of a Protestant or religious sort of area. Like it almost I almost got the idea that it was sort of Quakers, those sort of people.
Yeah.
And that's
I think that's what it's supposed to be.
It's
no, what are they? They're Mennonite? She says at one point.
Yeah, no, they are Mennonite. They are Mennonite.
Yeah.
Also, you know what's cool is Tom York did the soundtrack.
Yeah, he did. They were actually making a huge deal about it, and I remember there was a preview for the soundtrack, and I was like, who gives a shit? Because I was just figuring it was just like, I was figuring it was his sort of answer to Johnny Greenwood, because Johnny Greenwood is obviously the other musician that's in Radiohead. And if anyone who doesn't know Radiohead is that there's this huge...
I don't know his own...
I'm not a huge fan of Radiohead. I don't know a lot of their music, but some of the... I like more their ambient stuff. But obviously they did Creep, and Johnny Greenwood is the other musician besides... I mean, I think there's
Does he do solo shit?
Johnny Greenwood does big soundtracks. Like, he was the big sort of... He was the big sort of rock musician that got into songs besides, obviously, the guy who did Tim Burton's films. What the hell is his name?
Danny
Elfman.
Danny Elfman, and then also, obviously, following this guy was Nine Inch Nails is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
But also, did you know that Tom York was supposed to have done Fight Club?
Really?
Soundtrack for that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that he didn't, actually. I like the
Me
Dust
too.
Brothers version.
Yeah.
Is it the Dust Brothers or something like that?
Yeah, there was the Dust Brothers. Yeah. But listening to this... the soundtrack was really well made. Like, it was very good. Because, I mean, like, I was watching it, and I was like, then you hear his very specific voice come out, and you hear Tom York's voice, and I was like, wow, this is actually... it's really good.
And, like, very delicately overlaid the visuals is his, like, bad eye, just, like, staring off into the distance.
Did you ever see that video on MTV where he almost died, and he didn't know it, where he was playing...
No.
He was performing at a pool, and then he jumps in the pool with a live microphone in his
hand.
And then somebody pulled the microphone of his hand. So if he would have pulled that microphone into the water, he would have been fucking roasted.
I mean, not in a swimming pool. I think it would have dispersed enough, but he definitely would have gotten some kind of shock.
Yeah, imagine it would have fixed his eye, and then he was like, I don't gotta sing no more.
And he doesn't have a British accent anymore. He's like, he's American now.
He has like a Boston accent.
He can't sing.
So he did that. It's weird because it's like, the thing with sort of soundtracks for films, like a soundtrack for this really worked because it sort of helped move the mood of the film. And it was weird because when I looked at who made the soundtrack for Bird Box, I think Danny, you were saying, Danny was like, oh, it's a great soundtrack.
I really liked it.
And I was like, I didn't really pay attention to it. And then I looked up, it was fucking, Trent Reznor did the soundtrack. And I was like,
really?
what?
Okay.
Then I started listening.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but it is a good soundtrack.
So anyway, the music's great for this film, and we're following Susie. Well, we see that there's a dying woman, and we assume that's her mother, or I assume that she just wanted to leave that life. Because there's a twist that happens on in the film, which I'm not sure about with this movie itself. I don't know if we'll get to it. But Thea, tell us about the school itself, because I had forgotten that Suspiria was a school that had dance in it. There are certain sequences in the original Suspiria. I don't know if you guys remember that movie clearly or just sections of it. The section that I remember obviously is the one where the girl is hung through the skylight.
Yep.
And that's like the very beginning, right?
Yeah, and the girl's looking through the window, and you see those two disembodied eyes looking at her. I remember that like Castlevania-ish final boss fight where it's like this shadow that's like zipping and zapping.
She's to turn the iris to get through the door.
And the maggots too. Remember the maggots?
I was surprised that they did not have that wall that was in the original. You know that beautiful wall that has like this painting of flowers on it. Because that was.
But I liked what they did with the glass dance studio.
Of course, yeah. No, that was great too. That was a great effect. So Thea, give us a little bit of background about the school and what happens there.
The school. They draft Susie in
after a performance that she does.
Right.
That's obviously a stunt double, but still really well made scene.
It's still quite good. Yeah, all of the dancing actually in the movie is quite good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
It was weird to watch. I saw the Gaspar Noé film climax after I'd seen this one, and I was like, wow, everything was just really. It's like they know how to capture dance on film now. If you haven't seen Climax yet, see it. It's like.
I want to.
It is batshit insane.
Heard of Climax?
Yeah, it's batshit insane. But go ahead, Thea.
But the school, so they sort of draft people from all over the world. So like she gets paired up with I think a Brit.
That's Mia Goth, right?
That's right. So who becomes sort of like her confidant, just like there is in the original.
Right.
But there's always been sort of a secretive.
Cabal or
something? Cabal amongst the teachers.
Oh yeah.
So Susie has also followed the sort of head teacher, not the head mistress, but the head teacher, whose name is
Blanc.
It's Tilda Swinton. Blanc, that's right. And has been following her career forever, so she's sort of like, that's the sort of the reason that she went to this school.
And there's a specific dance that they keep talking about in the film that I looked up and saw if it's made up specifically for the movie. I thought it was a real dance, but it's not.
No, it's like the one that she created and she danced.
They've been doing it for years.
So now so now she's getting like the company to do it.
But it's not Tilda Swinton's character that's in charge, though, right? It's another character that's in charge.
That's right. Which is the original mother from the
so she's the one that's definitely not
movie.
seen, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Wait, you don't see her at all until the end.
You're talking about the monster lady with the sunglasses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I noticed they say, "Oh, she's not in charge, such and such. You have a rule to vote, but not." And I was like, "But who's the other?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, it's the other lady that does not show." Just like in the original film. It's just that
do you think anyone? Like, how much money would it take to have sex with a person who looked like Marcos? Like, what would it take?
Hey man, there's dudes doing it for free, man. They just do it.
With that thing though, with the sunglasses on and everything.
What if I take the money and then pay somebody else to do it
and turn off the light?
You're going to subcontract it.
That's right.
This film is taking. They put a little bit of political tinged violence in this film. It is taking place during the terror of the Red Faction Army. Is it Red Army? I'm afraid like these people will find me after I say this. The Red Army faction, I believe they're called, because they keep mentioning the guy.
Dragon Ball.
They keep mentioning the guy. They keep mentioning a guy named Bader, Baader, and they mention specifically because there was a youth sort of. Imagine if the 99% went out and did like acts of violence and stuff like that, like bombing shit and stuff like that. But these guys had to look it up after. This is where the phrase Bader-Meinhof syndrome comes from. Okay. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Bader-Meinhof syndrome is basically a version of synchronicity, but the reverse. It's like if somebody mentions something in a magazine to you, like, oh, there's this red car that I want to buy, and then as you're walking out on the street, you see the red car 3 times in separate places. It's not like deja vu where you see a cat over and over.
Yeah, it's just where you become aware of shit.
And the reason why it's called Bader-Meinhof is that the guy who coined the phrase had heard about the Bader-Meinhof group, who were part of the faction of the Red Army, twice in a day, and he just put it like that. He just said Bader-Meinhof, so now that name is associated with that sort of synchronistic idea that people have in life. But the Red Army faction, they were like this young group of like a gang or a terrorist organization, depends on who you call a terrorist or not. And they had kidnapped this one guy because at this time Germany was still leaving some of the guys who were fucking SS officers, and they had moved on, and they were in like at big jobs and stuff like that. They were running banks and stuff like that. So obviously they had it was very blurred lines of who was the bad guys and who's the good guys. So that's just
I'm so bad on like history and shit. Like I really am.
I didn't know any of this shit too. I just Googled it after I watched the film. I just knew the names.
Like I know little bits of it, obviously, but like I'm not very good.
So let's get into so there's 2 basic plot points of this film. One with Susie in the school. Although Susie, the interesting thing about this film is that Susie works as a main character and not a main character at the same time, because the film shifts the focus off of her and goes to Mia Goth's character for a little while. So, and I don't know if the way that works. I liked it myself, but I think they do that so the reveal at the end sort of is more interesting.
Do you think that the reveal at the end was true in the very beginning, or did it happen at some point? Because I think it happened at some point.
Like Hereditary, right? You think that was something like that? Because I was reading
I feel like it was transformative to some degree.
Because
being there.
She was meant to be a vessel for one of the mothers, but she had been the mother the whole time. So
but I don't think she was the mother the whole time. I think she came there as just some girl from America.
That's what I hope is what happened, right? I hope that's what had happened, because we never see a sequence where she's taken over or something.
And she doesn't even she gets possessed by like a god, not like a witch.
Yeah, and she brings out a god of death at the end. That's what it says. Because let me read this thing that just jumping towards the end right now. Klemper disposes Patricia journals, blah, blah, blah. Susie is led to the Mutant house, where she discovers the matrons along with Blanca Marcos and an incapacitated Klemper. As a bewitched Sarah is disemboweled to begin the Sabbath, Blanc attempts to intervene in the ritual. Enraged Marcos attacks Blanc, nearly decapitating her, blah, blah, blah. Susie, here it goes. Blanc. Susie seemingly accepts her fate as Marcos' new vessel, only to reveal herself as Master Suspiriorum, there to claim the academy and annihilate the corrupt coven. So I guess she was I guess the god that they were worshipping and doing all this nefarious shit was actually a good one. I'm not sure. And is wiping them out at the end to like.
Well, she's not good. I just think she's not into people like abusing power.
Okay.
She killed the people that voted for Marcos.
Yeah, because Marcos was an
asshole. Was like the false mother.
So yeah, basically. that's my only sort of sticking. Like, it's not a break for me. Like, that's my only sticking thing, that she was the bad guy the whole time or something like that. Like, I never understand that kind of stuff. Like, when it's a main character,
she wasn't bad. She was just trying to. She was trying to teach a lesson to the bad ones.
And it's just the fact that you see her sort of. So I like the idea that she was probably possessed midway coming in here. Like, that would be interesting to me. Like, if she was possessed during one of the dream sequences, which probably makes sense. That's the only thing. Other two that I thought stylistically was weird was those dream sequences that felt like something out of another movie. Like a Saw movie or something, but like, still it all worked for me.
You know the scene where she's doing the fucking awesome voodoo doll shit on Olga, and Olga's like flopping around?
Yeah.
So
that was where I knew I loved the movie. But anyway.
I know.
Was that the girl, was that the lady, you know, the nervous lady that commits suicide? Was that her transferring that onto that woman, or do you think that was her doing the voodoo dance on her?
No, I'm saying the Blanc, like, made her hands and feet control Olga.
Right. Oh, right. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that if Susie was possessed by that god Suspirium or whatever, that she would have done that. Because she would have protected Olga, because Olga wasn't abusing her power.
Right.
So I think she was a human at that point, and then at some point, she allowed the godmother thing to, like, possess her.
Mm-hmm.
The second...
But I think she was always meant to be sort of the vessel, because, like, there was that sort of underlying thing of, like, her mother saying she was evil her whole life. Like, sort of treating her as evil. She said a few times.
So that's definitely a hereditary thing then. So she
so it's sort of like she was meant to be that, but she couldn't become that until she was with the coven.
I wonder what point it happened, though.
I don't know.
I want to, like, rewatch it. Like...
I know. I want to, like, pinpoint sort of when it starts to really take.
Yeah.
I feel like it takes I feel like by the dinner, she's definitely.
Yeah, by the dinner she is, for sure.
Yeah,
because I never understand when characters like this that are obviously they know this whole time that they get spooked or scared for some reason. Like there's really interesting push zooms in this film. Like when she's sitting down before an interview, or she's walking around in the school when nobody's there. And she just looks up at the ceiling, and the camera zooms in on nothing, and then you see like it's like weird shit like that. Or when she's doing that in that beautiful dance sequence when she's doing her tryout, and she's doing that spin, and that camera's doing that great shot of her head spinning, and then it cuts to Tilda Swinton getting zoomed in on too. So it's like her getting spooked, and I'm like, at the end of the film, you're like, what's she getting scared for if she's the fucking Mother Suspiriorum or any of that stuff? I mean, it still works as a film as a narrative thing.
But maybe the fact that they also a human too. Maybe it's temporary. I don't know.
The fact that they shift the focus to Mia Goth's character is probably why they did that. Because you can't have her like getting spooked for shit, for weird reasons. And Mia Goth, I like Mia Goth. Like I don't think I've ever seen a film with Mia Goth in it. She has a very specific face.
Yeah,
I think she was famous earlier because she was dating who's that plagiarist fuck. That actor that went insane. Who's that little actor from Transformers that went insane?
He's a plagiarist.
The guy from Transformers, Shia LaBeouf. She was dating him. That's why she was famous for a little while.
Why is he a plagiarizer?
He made a film based on a Daniel Close comic book without giving Daniel Close credit, and acted like he did the movie himself and wrote it himself.
Cool.
Which is really shitty. That's when people called him out on his shit. He became this sort of art house fucking weirdo, and it's just like I don't have any respect for people that just steal without
Yeah, that's not cool.
Credit.
He's already super successful. Why does he need to steal from someone else?
Yeah, I think that's when people. I mean, you can see why people pay $500,000 to get kids into a college that necessarily don't need to go to college. Just shit like that. Why does a guy supposedly quote unquote get people to beat him up for a racist attack if you don't know? You know what I mean? It's like why do people do that? It's just that
people are stupid, man.
People are dumb. I don't know if that's true. Anything about if that guy.
If only we could all be like Mother Marcos, beautiful and eternal.
So, what are some high points for you guys with this film?
So what? Say it again.
High points.
There's a lot.
Give us your list of high points for this movie.
Oh my god, the scene with the fucking dance, the first one where Olga's getting all flopped around. Like, as soon as that started, because at first I was like, oh, this is okay. Like, and as soon as that started happening, it's like, this is my favorite thing. And it just kept going and going. Like, it was amazing. Oh, yeah. It was very nice.
I think what was unexpected for me was when Sarah, right? Her friend? Finds like the girls that have disappeared in sort of like pieces or like undead almost in that
Chloe Grace she looked cool. Chloe Grace as a zombie.
I just didn't expect that, and so that was sort of like
I wonder what they were there for. They were like sort of just they were waiting to be eaten or something?
It was like their holding cells basically. Like it was like a giant web basically that they just had to wait in until the time was right for them to participate in the ceremony.
Poor Chloe Grace Moretz has
and all those people at the end dancing in the ritual, those were all like basically brainwashed students that had no idea what they were doing.
That will not remember it when they wake up.
The same thing that happens to the psychiatrist at the end.
I would love if that happened to me. Like, I would love if, without my knowledge, I was naked and dancing this perfect synchronized thing as there's like a demon going around killing people, and then I wake up with no memory of it.
It'd be a great way to work out.
I got to give credit to Thea for finally picking a movie where the sexual harassment happens to the men. Danny, let's give her a round of applause.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Two sequences where two men are forced to be naked against their will.
That's right.
Fantastic. This is from Women's Month.
Me too.
Turning the tables.
So that character of what is Klemper? The psychiatrist? Well, I'm going to say the psychiatrist.
Klemper?
He didn't exist in the original one. There's obviously plot points that they got rid of from the original one, like there was a blind pianist with his dog.
Plot in the original one.
Right. I mean, it's sort of.
Well, exactly.
There's like they got rid of the older lady with the little boy that had this sort of Damien Omen sort of feeling to it. They got rid of
and the blind guy with the
dog, right? So it's interesting how they sort of just shift. I was like, I wonder how that would be in this film. But none of that happened, so it didn't matter anyway.
I'm glad they didn't try and replicate everything.
Yeah, I think that what Guadagnino did here is like, especially the dance sequences are just so well done. It's like this is a real
Whoever choreographed that is like good.
Because they're like horror directors, you know. And let's say like the guys who did all those movies with the ghosts and all that horse shit.
Conjuring?
Yeah, those Conjuring films. Like, you can tell that's a person that's built up on horror films, that wanted to make horror films, and they just make a horror film that kind of uses all the tropes. And then when you see director like Ari Aster, who did Hereditary, obviously he's into horror films, and his next film is going to be about cults as well, so I hope he moves on from that. But if you see any of his short films originally, he spans a wide version of... And I'd really check out Ari Aster's shorts film. They're great. From comedy to like spooky shit. His most famous one was, I won't explain what it is, but it's about it's about this black family. It's really it's fucked, that movie. And he's a director. Not saying that, taken away from horror directors, because they're directors in their own rights and they're in love with what they want to do. But this is a film that you can see as a director.
There's real style in it.
Yes. It's really
and like an intention with everything.
Panache.
There's a respect to the storytelling and not waiting for what the next scare is. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why I like these films a lot. Now I'm saying I like them a lot more. Although I do probably like them a lot more than a traditional horror film. It's just that there's a weight to them. There's a way to this film, and it's not like you're just waiting to get scared. Because this isn't like a scary film. I'm not scared by it.
Are there any jump scares, really?
No.
Not that I can think about. It's more of a spooky...
Yeah, no, I didn't feel slightly scared at all. It's just more like, ooh, yeah.
It's more of an unnerving film. And that's sort of my pace of a horror film. The other ones, I've seen everything already done so much. So when you see this type of film where it has a very specific dark black feeling to it, I enjoy that a lot more. Not to say it's because we're being snobs about it. It's just a really well made film that has elements of horror to it. Yeah, and just the camera work is great alone too. You know, it's just
all my favorite horror movies are like, like Antichrist, Hereditary. This is like probably in like top 20 or something. Like, so all of them are like by not necessarily horror people. Like, it's
people who vary what they sort of do.
Yeah. Like, although I love like Wes Craven and all these people too.
Yeah, of course.
Like
John Carpenter,
and they make amazing shit. But John Carpenter also makes non-horror stuff. Also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and plus he also said the new Halloween was the best that it could be. And, he was just counting all the money.
It's not that bad. Everyone gets so upset.
My friend, boy, he said he's done with remakes after he saw that movie. He was
really.
You should watch this.
He was so.
They did overhype it. It was way overhyped.
He was so upset. Like he was so.
It's really not that bad. I don't know why people gave it such shit.
It was just so funny. But then I remember reading this other guy's this other guy who's like on a podcast I listened to. And I want to kick him in his balls. He's saying like. He was like, Hereditary is the worst movie ever. And then he said Halloween.
Tell me about that.
And he said Halloween 2018, it has the best representation of a woman going through trauma. I was like, what? And you didn't
not
like
Hereditary, where there's a woman fucking half the movie screaming and going.
I won't even say the guy's fucking name because it drives me nuts. Because you shouldn't be offended by somebody's opinion on something unless it's about fucking killing a race of people and shit like that. But like as a movie, like okay.
Yeah, guys, we have to be accepting of different views and tolerant of different viewpoints.
But like, when it's a film, you're like, oh, that's why you just stop listening to them because like, who gives a shit? But people are very dismissive. But I could understand people having other feelings about it. But the finale, what did you guys think about this finale?
If people don't agree with my opinion, then I dismiss them outright.
What did you guys think about the finale of this movie?
Thea? The finale was killer. I really liked it.
They fucking spoiled that.
The setting was really cool, though.
What drove me nuts, though, going into this film is that, like, one of the production stills is of this actress, the main actress, Susie, opening her chest with her chest. And I was like, what the fuck? So I knew that was going to happen coming in.
Yeah, but that could have been, like, a dream sequence.
Yeah, right. True.
Yeah.
But with my luck, it's always spoiling the movie. I'm like, I know that's going to be
the end of the movie. You spoil the movie for yourself.
Always spoil shit for himself.
But
he won't even watch Battlestar Galactica.
Who cares about that shit? But
the trailer for Suspiria, the part of the reason I liked it, I think that one of the first trailers was like they showed you almost nothing about the plot. Right. It was mostly just like, this is what the movie is going to look like. It's going to be crazy.
Right. It's sort of like how Hereditary actually showed you a lot that happened in the film, but you still didn't know what the fuck it was about.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen a trailer for Hereditary.
It's actually one of the better trailers ever made.
Yeah,
it's actually
one of the first ones was really
I'm like not
good.
In the trailers. I don't really. Watch
I don't blame
trailers.
you for that. I don't blame you. No, for that.
Because it's just like
I need to watch.
They either ruin everything or they suck. Like.
I forgot what trailer I had recently seen that basically showed the ending in the trailer. I was like, oh my, like why would I see this movie?
I like to go see a movie and I like to have absolutely no idea what it's about.
Did you guys enjoy the CG exploding heads in the movie? That was a little bit like.
I wish there was more practical effects.
That reminded me a little bit of sort of like N64 blood just shooting out of people, and it's like in a weird sort of cutty, choppy filmmaking, like camera sort of thing, like not directing being.
That's really my only complaint is like I wish there were more practical effects in the movie.
That's fair.
Yeah, because that all is just CG at the end when the girls' heads explode, and it's just a beautiful shot of the main actress.
Why couldn't they have actually exploded the heads of the people? You know.
I'm sure that would cause a lot of problems for women. They would get upset if they actually.
Yeah, but those are bad women. Those women endorse.
Usually, it's more
Marcos.
expensive to physically kill people on your set than it is to just pretend.
Danny,
I'm saying we could have gotten some extras and physically killed them. I mean,
Danny,
it's okay.
Believe women, okay?
Still expensive.
The good thing about this is that I like that you can tell that even this is like. It's obviously a bizarre, weird, violent film, but you can tell these actors were sort of proud to be in it. Like they especially if you watch any of the. I'm not sure. I can't read.
Certainly, Tilda Swinton was.
Well, yeah, I think she worked with Guadagnino like specifically, with him, and I've always had a weird crush on Tilda Swinton. There's just something really sort of.
I think we've talked about this.
I think
before.
we have. Yeah, I don't know what else we saw that had Tilda Swinton in it.
I don't know.
But there's just something really fucking magnet.
Is she in Snowpiercer?
She was.
She's the one with the big crazy goggles on.
As like an old lady. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the comic. That comic sucked, so I hope the movie was better. But
the movie is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, the movie's fun. It's it's what it is.
But Tilda Swinton has like a really magnetic sort of thing with her. Just that she just seems like such a weirdo.
She's also like ageless. She's very strange.
Yeah, right. And I think she's
she's also in that movie with Will Ferrell where she's narrating him as a book character.
No, she's not. That's Emma Thompson.
Oh, racist Danny with British people.
Who's that other person?
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson.
Who I love.
You would know her if you saw her.
I'm gonna look her up.
But Tilda Swinton, like another thing is that she has an open marriage with her husband, but I think it's only one way, because like she has a young boyfriend and her husband.
Oh, sure.
So.
You know what? You're right. I think you're right.
But
I am right.
I mean, the ending sequence has to be seen because it's just so fucking gorgeous. It's amazing.
Great, yeah.
And Tilda Swinton had asked them to build her a fake cock as the old man too, but I think since he got naked at the end anyway, they were gonna do it anyway. But still, so like I think she wore it with she wore it on scenes where she didn't have to, just so she could feel like
of course she did.
The body. Maybe you.
I would wear it if I could wear it.
No, it just seems like.
Listen, I have a penis, but if somebody gave me the opportunity to wear a fake one, also, I totally would.
I would too.
I would have it molded around my penis to make my penis larger. Like I'd wear it like a glove.
There you go.
That's pretty good. So I mean, I there's no higher sort of praise I can give for this film. Just that it's just really, it's a must watch. It made like after I'd seen it because I saw it at the beginning of this year.
A good remake, for sure. It's very nice to have a good remake. Because
and I also
like question though.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you think you need to have seen the original to enjoy this one? No, not at all.
No.
I think
it's totally its own thing.
I can't tell if you have to because I have seen the original enough times that I can't even tell what it would be like without having seen it.
I mean, if I was going to tell somebody to watch
different experiences, I think.
They're very different.
I would say watch it, of course, because it's a classic movie, but you don't need to watch it. And if I had to say choose between one, I'd say this one.
But I do think I enjoyed this one more because I know
so
what the first one is like, and this one satisfied a lot of the story elements that I was missing from the original.
There are some visuals in the first one that nothing can sort of top.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Course.
But this is its own sort of monster, and just the color palette of this sort of sickly gray tone to the film that you watch and you go, and you're like, fuck, that looks good. Especially the last, and the one thing I like about this, it's one of those horror films where you're thinking, oh, it's going to be so fucking serious and it'll take itself so serious. And it sort of does in a way, but not that where it's like, it leads up to a finale that embraces the insanity of a horror film. Like, there's a lot of horror films that do not stick it at the end where, it doesn't go crazy. Like, this movie didn't necessarily have to go crazy because the original went crazy in its own way, but it was a little more subdued, the original ending. Where the girl is
I think that was possessed. Like budgetary, probably.
I'm sure of it too, but they still did some weird shit in it that was obviously cost money. And the school blows up at the end, and she walks away smiling. And in this one, they just decided to go with seeing the actual destruction of the witches as opposed to them just kind of being killed off camera. And I like that when films commit to being serious and then also just going with just like Hereditary, like. Hereditary is a film, like a drama film, up until the last 20 minutes.
Bonkers at
and then it goes bizarre, and people still hated that movie. People were like, "Well, this is a drama."
I still seriously. I think about that movie like at least once a week.
It's a great film too.
I could still play back every scene in my head perfectly.
So that's why, like, when I was thinking the top horrors of 2018, I was like, "Fuck," because Hereditary is still number one for me, and then this is somewhere with House of Jack because House of Jack, the thing which bumps up House of Jack for me is that it's we gotta review House of Jack, but we gotta review when the director's cut comes out. We don't because the one that's out right now.
That's part of why I haven't watched it yet. Because you told me I should wait.
Once the director's cut comes out, just wait. I don't know if it's coming out. There was supposed to come out, but then it's gotten some legal things.
What the fuck is wrong with censorship in our stupid country? They
literally cut like seconds out of the movie.
There's a lot wrong.
Yeah. Anyway. this is definitely one of the top films of 2018. Especially, it was a very good year for horror in 2018. Even if you just saw 3 films, that's at least something.
There were some solid entries like the past year.
Let's hope that it keeps going in 2019.
Yeah, so I don't have to hear about
Cemetery.
I don't have to hear about.
I hope
fingers
so.
crossed.
And the second It movie, right?
I hope I don't have to hear about fucking Terrifier, the clown movie on Netflix. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. I heard it's not that good, and then I hear everybody.
I saw the short when it's been on YouTube.
That was part of another movie, right?
I haven't even heard of it, so I guess I'm not in the loop.
Don't worry about it.
It's so weird looking at. I didn't realize Mother Marcos has a couple of hands growing out of her arms. That's really cool.
Her elbow.
I'm looking at her right now. She has like a baby arm growing out of her left arm.
Just think what she could do with that shit in bed.
And then also the way they fucked up Tilda Swinton's wish and they split her in half from the neck down and her head just flops over.
Yeah.
This is a fucking dope movie. This is a good movie. Whoever's this.
I liked that a lot.
Whoever's listening
but then
to
at the end, her eyes are moving. She's still alive. What's the deal with that?
So I guess maybe they bring her back to life. I'm not sure. I mean, unless she's like disabled or something. I have no clue. But I know the witch leaves it. Like she
walks around from this point forward with like a thing around her neck to hide it.
She doesn't start the school up again, right? She just sort of leaves and that's it. But anyway, I mean, we can go out in this movie for a long time. It's a great fucking film. What are you guys, Thea? What's your rating for this film?
I'm gonna give it.
It's difficult, right? Because I gave Hereditary a 10. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't give Hereditary a 10, but that's okay. I would give this one a 9.
Terrifier a 10. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Terrifier got an 11. No. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Susie and Madame Blanc fueling my thirst for fan fiction about them now. Because there's always that underlying tension that you're just like, is this? I don't know. Just a little bit,
I would give this a 9 out of 10. God bless those sheer dancer pants with the black panties. Mia Goth. Oh, I'm such a fan. Danny.
I can tell.
I'm going to give this I agree, a 9. I was going to say a 10 out of 11 to make it a little more meaningful.
Okay.
So it's like a 9 point.
What?
It's like a
I'm here for it.
It's like a 9 point.
You confused me because you were like 9.
I'm going to give it 9.2.
Very good.
Oh.
9.11. We're getting political now. Sure. 9.2 out of 10.
9.11 is less than 9.2. Right?
Shut up. It sounds more meaningful. Out of 10, making a person's body fold in over itself multiple times while you do a beautiful sexual dance.
Those dances. So with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Grape.
Danny, what's the final word?
Dance, dance, revolution.
The horror deconstruction.